about due process and the rule of law, not Martin Kpebu's gibberish. That's what to say that this is a how can a lawyer talk this way?
Enti eye lawyer near friend is Frank Davies, Ken Ofori-Atta and lawyer se Mubako or no more grant interviews pa ewa abonten. Was say lawyer Martin Kpebu or Kasati said do Carpenter ni. Or saso Kasati said do ye Mason, in fact or Kasati so be uncle law school da. Na a day and a beba. And a day and a Martin Kpebu beka ama Frank Davies so etumi aka say actually no ha ACBD TV we bo video no ama wa hwe pacho unya subscribe ya kindly subscribe what subscribe that so e da say afen so ewie uya no wa share wa like fefe no wa comment so pacho no insults bia enti yen ya where say Ofori-Atta was arrested on the 6th of January 2026 and he's been kept at the detention center on my Caroline detention center for about 3 months. You shame what for 3 months ni. And then drunk one Yebeka say omo a grantino bill into no coffee with his family. Oshe video no me video simpacho go through na share no so. Now we say no na say join us for a young program and koko Fred a year Amanda Clinton be near Masubiacho say already nangasano. Ghana hanum say no Ofori-Atta no Ghana hasn't served him anything yen serving no to say ya charging and I someone ya charging the say bia bonia wa ye ni wo bonia wa ye ni ye de charge o say Ofori-Atta obia embe serving sa enti nanka Ghana so den ka ye gina the fact that he was arrested and detained at the detention center honomono nanka ye the extradition no so case no so akokobon nanka the first one ya twenaba and anye ya actually why is he winning the case or what is going on na say and Amanda Clinton no or can
I mean I concur with what his lawyer just said in terms of due process always brings out the facts even more, but I think ultimately there's two things going on. There is an immigration route in terms of the process we're seeing right now, and there is a second route, which is, the legal extradition route. So the immigration case is one thing, and the criminal extradition case is completely a different thing as well. Why he was put in ICE, I think his lawyer is probably in a better position to tell you, but he wasn't detained for criminal conviction in the US. It was mainly just an immigration trigger. So yes, although he applied for a green card, allegedly City News said that he was asked to leave the US but did not comply and his visa was revoked, although, that hasn't necessarily been confirmed except if his lawyer confirms that. And, I just want so ICE was basically doing an immigration violation and international legal attention. So although he's been released, it just means that he's no longer under ICE attention, and he's now out likely under conditions, meaning that his cases might still go on, and he's just going to fight this US proceedings, keep on applying for his green card, and possibly, fight the extradition as well, which is a separate arm. So although Ghana says it's because he's supposed to face charges, his legal team, on the other hand, said it's a political witch hunt. But at the forefront of everything should always be due process, because people's names shouldn't be soiled before a court decides what exactly is happening. And I think it's good to see that due process is playing out here.
But during this, his first appearance before the judge, there was the issue about the request by Ghana to extradite him, and earlier he was on an Interpol Red Alert list. He was taken out. ICE has given him bail. That's why I wanted to ask: what does this have any forbearance or any bearing on the extradition effort that Ghana is putting up?
It may do. The U.S. government is going to review everything, and I think in the last 12 months, Ghana has unprecedentedly sent back every single Ghanaian person that the U.S. has requested in terms of extradition, and they did so probably in hopes of getting Ken over here. But that's just speculative. But in terms of that Interpol, I think the issue that happened with the Interpol Red Notice alerts was that he was put on the list, but there was a procedural error in terms of I don't think the charges had been brought, etc. And I think the Interpol alert should come from the Attorney General's Department, or in terms of the request, and not necessarily from OSP. So him getting taken off that was more of a procedural thing in terms of it wasn't properly done. So whether Ghana seeks to now do the proper thing in terms of the government, I don't know. But the Interpol red alert was a procedural error that was, taken off. And I think it is good that he is released from ICE because this is a slightly elderly gentleman. He poses no risk. His passport has probably been taken in terms of any passport he holds. They've probably got conditions on him in terms of he has to report every day or week, and maybe he has a tag on, etc. So I think it served absolutely no purpose in him being in detention. And what is separately going to go on is this extradition request, which may or may not be granted by the US. But I think Ghana would push hard if it's not granted, because Ghana has granted every single US request for extradition in the last 12 months, unless I stand corrected on that. And so Ghana has done this because they're pushing this oral policy of theirs. But again, in pushing the oral policy, it is not at the cost of everything. And I do think that NDC do have to remember they were in opposition less than 2 years ago. And so if what they are doing appears like a political witch hunt, which I'm not saying it is, should they go out of power in 7 years' time or in 3.5 years' time or whenever, the same thing is going to be done to them, but perhaps at a bigger scale. So, diplomacy does mean following the rule of law and just having due process, as the gentleman in front of me or just before me said. And I think the NDC government does have to strike a very fine balance between that, which they're not managing at the moment.
Okay, I'm grateful.
Amanda Clinton na just extradition na can waha say lawyers wahane ka say omo dia akose nti extradite Ofori-Atta no just papers bia mpo nuru ho no papers bia ni ho no ma akoka abrofu yinsa say extradite Ofori-Atta o. And I feel so no sa red flag was a red and notice na Ofori-Atta woda so no utie Amanda Clinton nsema osa ono so okeka just say in the process of doing that no crampon Ghana so ye mistake and nti no mu yi ni free so ebi mu so no mo keka say oh ya chine da denti na hu hia kra so mbesa so de no ato red notice ni so biom and nti na omu yi ni free so no we mu nyina achi e na joy force okay e na ye frɛ lawyer Martin Kpebu e ni entie de ono so beka na obie na no na on de okokɔ atake Frank Davies no o say Frank Davies ferry ni wani so ferry bi o wani so a wo a little bit of anabia nka fetu client no for client ye Ken Ofori-Atta no for say omra Ghana kacha ni say omra Ghana ni ye hia no ha no o meyi nsema no tie said that Martin Kpebu kan ye we are made Frank Davies so ni video no also
should be starting from is that look, if Frank Davies values his honor, he should be telling Ofori-Atta to calm down, okay, as soon as possible. I mean, they should just
but hold on, is it about someone valuing his honor, or like both lawyers have said earlier that it's about due process, which all of you lawyers ascribe to?
No, yes, we ascribe to due process, but I'm presenting arguments now, and all the arguments can be taken on board, because you see, you're looking at who Ofori-Atta is. Public officer, he held the public purse, and then he's alleged to have done certain wrong things. Calm down and be held accountable. It's a constitutional requirement. So when I heard Frank Davies talking about due process, I cringed. I really cringed. I was like, really? You see, the things we say today, will we be able to repeat them tomorrow? Ofori-Atta, for crying out loud, was given public office, and he's done certain things that are alleged to be what? Criminal. he's needed to come and account. Accountability is in the Constitution. Even the duties of a citizen, Article 41. One of them is that you help to protect public property. So now, in his stewardship, we've lost certain things. We say calm down and account, and Frank Davies is talking about due process. Due process is also in the same Constitution that says that citizens should help protect public property. It's the same Constitution that talks about due process that also says that there are responsibilities. You have a right to due process, but you also have a responsibility. And Article 19, right? Ofori-Atta must come. He has a duty to attend the trial. And if Frank Davies is forgotten, prior to this, Ofori-Atta had been contacted and he said he wanted to cooperate with the OSP through virtual, like we like to say in Ghana, Zoom. All right. So it's not as if Ofori-Atta is not aware.
Was that proposal taken?
Yes. So no, it wasn't taken, and that's where we are asking Kissie Jabin himself to also resign, because Kissie Jabin brought all of this onto us as a nation. Now we are having to pay lawyers top dollar to face John Ashcroft. You know, John Ashcroft is former Attorney General of the U.S. He's top dollar, top notch, right? So we are carrying all these bills, trying to do extradition, etc., because Kissie Jabin couldn't blow the whistle. He couldn't shout, Juloe, Evio, Barao.
But Martin, isn't this what the lawyers of Ken Ofori-Atta have been referring to? That we seem to pronounce the man, a criminal when the case has not been heard by a competent court of jurisdiction.
No, it's a farce. They are pretending. Kojo Brace, today, when you walk to Makola, or even you don't go to Makola, your office is near Malata Market. When we want to catch a thief, we have to say thief, julo. It's a way to ask for help, okay? A cry for relief, that let's catch the person. We all know that after we've caught the person, we take the person to court. So I'm saying that this simple thing, in the Ghanaian society, there is a way to cry for help where you cannot catch a suspect yourself. Kojo, let's make this point. In our society, and nobody can take it from us, when you want to catch a suspect or accused person, you say thief. There is no court that can say that the person thief at that time is wrong. It's a summons for relief. That's our language. Every society you go, there is a language they speak. So when we say thief, we mean catch him for us. That's the meaning. It means apprehending. So if Kissie Jabin had done that, the media, because Kissie Jabin in the interviews said that they saw him leave. And Kissie couldn't shout, Julo, he and his men. They couldn't shout, Julo. They couldn't shout, Ewi, for Ghanaian, for the media to blow the way, to also amplify it for Ofori-Atta to be caught before he went to the airport. Because people would have gone to the airport.
He wasn't well. The reason he left. Why do you still want to arrest him when the man has sought the official permission to leave because of his ill health?
Yes, we'll come to Julius Debra on it. Julius Debra, the current chief of staff who was notified, and then the former chief of staff, Fremont Parry. Yes, they also have to answer for it. But even if you leave Julius Debra and then Fremont Parry aside for now, Kissie said that he wasn't written to. He said he attempted to arrest Ofori-Atta. So meaning that for Kissie, the permission given by Julius Debra and the permission given by former chief of staff, Fremont Parry, didn't matter to Kissie Jabin. Kojo Brace, you can play the interview again. He said he wanted to arrest him and that he went to NIB, didn't get help. He went to immigration, didn't get help. He went to national security, didn't get help. I'm in receipt of 2 letters from NIB and national security where they said Kissie didn't come there for any help. Even if you put that argument aside, he also said in the KSM interview that they saw him leave, but they were powerless. So Kojo Brace, I'm saying that saw him leave and they were powerless. It's a separate argument from the time he said he went to NIB, went to National Security, etc. They are two separate arguments.
Okay, Martin.
If your man saw him, you said you knew the letter, you knew the date he was going to travel. So apart from NIB, National Security, etc., he couldn't blow the whistle, he couldn't shout Julo, he couldn't hold a press conference. That's why Kisei Jabe must leave that office immediately.
Martin Kpebu, I'm
great. It say na lawyer Martin Kpebu ekasaye. Na ona kakra na okaye no, ona mponya kakra ona deso. Ona no okaye no, ene two Frank Davies. Ena o se hwe. Wo kasa te se Carpenter wo kitchen kunya. Papa ne dware of muntie se do keka che Martin Kpebu, but o wi a no subscribe. Thanks for watching.
Could you brace? I mean, I'm really very disappointed. When this man, you called him to answer to a question you asked him, and he talked about my honor, and you were quiet. What honor?
No, I wasn't quiet. I wasn't quiet.
No. What? No, you see, when the likes of Martin Kpebu talk, you wonder whether they are lawyers. I'm sorry to say this, but when the likes of Martin Kpebu they talk, you wonder whether they are lawyers or carpenters, excuse me, or masons or bricklayers. Look at what Martin Kpebu is saying. What does he understand by due process? What exactly does Martin Kpebu understand by due process? From what he's saying, he's talking like a street boy. That what Juloy, mole. Is that how a lawyer talks? So when the man has not been charged, what does Martin Kpebu expect him to do? When he was arrested by the office of the Special Prosecutor, he was screaming that he had not been given the opportunity to call his wife. This is the kind of person who is condemning Ken, Martin Kpebu. I'm sorry. You see, when people like him talk the way you are talking, talk the way they are talking, then lawyers are cut out for blame because he is not talking like a lawyer. I listened to Amanda Clinton. We are all talking about due process and the rule of law, not Martin Kpebu's gibberish. That's what this is how can a lawyer talk this way? So Kisei Jabe should have gone to the airport to physically arrest Ken Ofori-Atta. I'm sorry, Martin Kpebu. You without I don't want to use language that you normally use on your colleague lawyers. But I have more honor and integrity, Martin Kpebu, than you have. So next time when you come on radio and you are asked questions, stick to the script and answer the questions, and then talk in this loose manner.